Hey guys and gals. So, real quick notes today, talking about fish and shellfish. It's also called aquaculture, because it's just agriculture but in the water. Um, so, click, there it is. So, as a planet, fish comprises our third most commonly used source of food, the first being corn, wheat, rice, and the second being meats. In my personal opinion, I think that fish is an underutilized resource because the amount of energy, space, and calories it goes into producing fish is a lot less than producing like meat. And I feel like fish is it's an easier way for us to not eat vegetables all the time, but also not have to have like miles and miles of like cow land. So I personally feel like we don't utilize fish as much as we should. However, we are moving a lot towards what you can see in this picture, which is aquaculture. So wild fishing, like the boats, like the deadliest catch, that kind of stuff's kind of on the decline right now, mostly because tragedy of the commons. So in the oceans, it's a really big problem. And so that's why wild fishing is kind of tapering off. I mean, we still do a fair bit, but we're trying more to hone in and do this kind of stuff, which is aquaculture. So basically, they just like will pin off an area and then they'll have fish living in here that they can feed and watch and kind of, instead of having to go fish for them, they just raise them in these little water pens. So you can see here in this picture why tragedy of the commons is such a problem in oceans, and it's because nobody owns the ocean. So the kind of cream is the landmass, the light blue is the owned areas. So typically a country will own a couple miles, I think it's like 100 to 200 miles off their coastlines. And then the islands you can see all dotted here in the middle. But all this dark blue is free game. Okay, nobody owns that. And so it's really easy to overexploit the ocean because, like, if you go out into this area right here and just drop a net, you can catch fish as they migrate and nobody's going to really be there to regulate it. Another reason why it's so hard to regulate fishing appropriately is because fish are mobile. Okay, so, in the US, we may have a policy on how much we can fish, but those fish aren't going to stay in U.S. waters. They'll move out into the open ocean. They'll move down into, Mexico waters. They'll move up into Canada waters. And, the way that we're trying to conserve fish for our fishermen doesn't always necessarily carry over to the surrounding countries where those fish are moving back and forth in. And to add on that, we've seen a lot in the past where if one country tries to regulate their fishing industry, it means that, the fish populations are going to increase because, one country's cutting back, and usually the countries on either side will see this and they will increase their catches. It's called TOCs, total observable catch, I think. We're going to read about that today. So one of the most infamous examples of tragedy of the commons and fishing is the collapse of the Newfoundland fisheries. So if we go back here, Newfoundland is an area up in Canada, over in this area, right in here, and there is a huge cod fishery up there. Well, there used to be. So this fishery is classified as being collapsed. So a collapse means that the population has declined by 90%. So you can see here back in the early 70s, Canada was moderating their fishing and only taking I think this is million pounds or million tons probably. But other countries really jumped in, and because it kind of bordered on this, area that Canada owned and area that was, free for all, that fishery collapsed. So 90% of that fishery's population was captured. So you're going to do an assignment today where you read about and answer some questions about the Newfoundland fisheries. I think the assignment is called the cod moratorium, which a moratorium just means that the area is dead, the area is unusable. So Some things to keep an eye out for and some things to, highlight in this unit. So first of all, overfishing, not only does it harm the biodiversity of the area because you're taking out usually what is a keystone species or a top level predator, so you're kind of jacking with the biodiversity, but it really screws up the local economy and the local food supply. So places that tend to make a lot of their money with fishing also supplement their diet a lot with fishing. And so overfishing by other countries that come in, or even by that country itself, is going to have a very big impact on the local economy and the local food supply. I don't. If you guys have seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, they live on that island where they fished sardines, and when the sardine industry kind of cut off, everybody on the island is like, now they all are like having to eat sardines all the time. That's kind of what that reminds me of. And then also, while you are reading this article, make sure that you take note on how industrial fishing today is different than like old school fishing, like back in the day when they used to use like wooden boats and they would go and, like Moby Dick-esque fishing style, okay? This is a big reason why fishing is such a environmental issue, is our industrial fishing techniques are so different and so much better than the old school fishing techniques that we just completely go ham on the ocean and just take all the fish, and it's not good. So make sure you keep those in mind and you look out for those as you do your assignment today. That's the end of the notes for today. I will see you guys later. Bye.